Ladies and gentlemen, welcome for our 6th launch of the year from the Guyana Space Center, the 3rd with Ariane 5 in 2015. Tonight, Ariane 5 is set to deliver into an optimized geostationary transfer orbit Star 1C4 for Embratel Star 1 in Brazil and MSG4 for EUMETSAT, the European Meteorological Organization. Ariane 5 will be required a performance slightly below 8.6 tons. It will have a window of 37 minutes to liftoff, opening precisely at 9:42 p.m. Universal Time. The mission will last a little more than 40 minutes. I would like to thank Embratel Star 1 for entrusting Arianespace with the launch of its 10th satellite, as it did with the 9 previous ones. Once on location, Star 1C4, manufactured by SSL, will strengthen Embratel Star 1 telecommunication services capacity above the American continent, a necessity in view of the upcoming Olympic Games in Rio de Janeiro next year. I am also grateful to EUMETSAT, with whom we have also established a long and strong partnership. Manufactured by Thales Alenia Space, MSG4 is the last of Meteosat's second-generation satellites and the 10th Meteosat launched by Arianespace. It will provide meteorological data for weather forecasting and climate monitoring above Europe, Africa, the Atlantic Ocean, and the eastern part of the Americas. But our 18th Ariane 5 is now being readied for liftoff, so enjoy the show.
Hello and welcome. You join us live at the Guyana Space Center for the 6th launch this year. And there's Ariane on the pad going through the final preparations. Liftoff is scheduled in just over 12 minutes' time. You can see the countdown there on the top right-hand side of your screen. I'm Katie Haswell, and our interpreters, Diane Borelli and Christopher Jack, are translating me for our French-speaking viewers. Ariane 5 is a big and powerful beast, and she's made of 3 sections. We call them stages. The first stage constitutes the 2 boosters. There they are on each side, strapped onto the main stage, the large tank in the centre. Above it we have the upper stage, and above that is the fairing. There it is, a height of 17 meters tall. And inside we can see we have our 2 satellites. In the upper position we have Star 1C4 for Embratel Star 1. It's a telecom satellite. And below it is MSG4 for EUMETSAT. It's a 2-ton satellite. And they are both waiting patiently in there, getting ready for liftoff. This is mission control. It's about 18 kilometers from that pad. Various teams working in here. This is an important team. It's called the Flight Control Desk, and these folk are Arianespace top management. They take all the important decisions in the case of any unplanned situations, and teams working across the base report to them. So the first passenger to be separated is Star 1C4 for the Brazilian operator Embratel Star 1.
The A224 Ariane 5 flight will lift off from Kourou and will be the 10th Embratel Star 1 satellite launched by Arianespace. Embratel is the satellite operator leader for the South American market, and we are particularly proud of the confidence Star 1 puts in Arianespace systems reliability.
Arianespace has been responsible for launching all our satellites since 1985. Now we are ready for the future with the Star 1C4. We are thrilled to offer even more reliable service to our customers, and we are confident that it will become a reality. Not only because Space System L'Oral manufacturing our satellite, but also and mainly because we have a great satellite engineering team.
I would like to thank SSL team for the great job that we have carried out together throughout this program, and Embratel Star One for the continued confidence they put in Arianespace and in its fleet of launchers.
So great teamwork, and also that goes for our other passenger, Meteosat Second Generation 4, or MSG 4 for short. Thales Alenia Space built this meteorological satellite for EUMETSAT, and EUMETSAT is a European agency of 30 countries which operates a fleet of satellites dedicated to monitoring Earth's weather and climate from space.
MSG-4 is the 10th Meteosat series geostationary satellite launched by an Ariane vehicle from French Guiana since 1981, and it is the fourth and last one of the second generation of meteorological satellites.
The decision to build MSG-4, adding a fourth satellite to the MSG program, was taken by EUMETSAT Council in March 2003 after the launch of MSG-1.
The Meteosat second generation program is the result from a successful European cooperation in which the European Space Agency develops the prototype satellite according to the requirements agreed with EUMETSAT.
It was done at a time when the consolidation of the requirements for the future generation of Meteosat started, to ensure the long-term continuation of the operational service to the user in parallel to the preparation of the new generation.
All MSG satellites have been produced by an European space industry consortium led by Thales Alenia Space.
I would like to express a big thank to all the involved actors in this program.
And we are looking forward to continuing this fruitful cooperation with EUMETSAT for the Meteosat third generation.
And back here in Mission Control, a couple of key people. This is the Mission Director. Today it's Ignacio Gori. And sitting next to him is our Range Operations Manager. It's Damien Simon. You're going to be
à tous
hearing...
de DDO, attention pour la séquence finale lanceur. Top H0 -7 minutes.
We'll be hearing his voice throughout this flight. He's just announced the beginning of the synchronized sequence. The computers are now performing all the final checks and controls before launch, and they manage a very impressive list of operations. Teams have been working hard at the base to prepare for today. This process is called the launch campaign. The parts of Ariane 5 arrived at the port in Kourou after an 11-day journey from Europe and were transported to the launcher integration building for assembly. The boosters were transferred from storage and attached to the main stage. The upper stage was then integrated with the vehicle equipment bay containing the onboard computer before the whole thing was transferred to the final assembly building on June the 16th. Meanwhile, a few kilometres away, MSG-4 and Star 1C4 underwent their own preparations in the clean and secure environment of the dedicated satellite facilities here at the Guyana Space Centre, where teams performed a number of operations, including filling the tanks with propellant. Once transferred to the final assembly building, operations could begin to install the satellites in the launcher, using special attachment systems. The whole thing was encapsulated inside the protective environment of the fairing to form what is known as the upper composite. The day before launch, the whole ensemble was rolled out to the pad along a dedicated track, all fully integrated on the launch table with the umbilical tower and supply systems, ready to undergo the final preparations. Well, that was 2 days ago. This is today. And you can see on the right-hand side of the screen there what we call the status panels. A little bit like the dashboard in your car, these are all the main systems across the base which send their health status here to these boards, which are in mission control. And just like traffic lights, they all need to be green for a launch to go ahead. And right now, that is indeed the case. There are lots of different facilities here at the base, covering an area about the size of Martinique, which is the Caribbean island quite close to us. And the whole thing is called the range. You can imagine the logistics involved in everybody communicating with each other, which is why we have all the information sent here to mission control. And we have a number of different control centres on the base. This is launch control, several teams, one responsible for ground operations and another responsible here for the quality operations, just making sure that everybody follows procedures correctly. Another team ensures the flight readiness of the vehicle, led by the Ariane Space Production Manager, and the quality team keeping their eye on those operations as well. And the Launch Control Centre is only 3 kilometres from the pad. It's often called the bunker because it's in a protected building, because it's so close to the pad. So the final countdown actually started about 11.5 hours ago. During that time we checked the electrical systems. We started filling the main cryogenic stage with liquid oxygen and hydrogen. We checked the connections. We had the all systems go report at -7 a few minutes ago. You saw it, allowing the start of the synchronized sequence. And then 2 minutes ago we pressurized the tanks for flight, and the computers in launch control sent the liftoff time to the computers on board Ariane. Take a look at those orange arms connecting and clamping on to the top of the Ariane vehicle. There's a close-up of them there. We call them the cryogenic arms, and they're feeding liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen into the tanks. That's what we call cryogenic fuel. It has to be kept at incredibly low temperatures in order for it to stay as a liquid, so cold in fact that they evaporate until and we keep topping up the tanks until the last few seconds. You'll see those retracting just before launch, and we're getting close now. Concentration levels high. A special hello to everybody who's watching us at EUMETSAT in Darmstadt in Germany, and to everybody who's watching us at Embratel Star 1 in Rio de Janeiro. And also, of course, to all the industrial teams who built the satellites, led by Space Systems Loral for Star 1 C4 and Thales Alenia Space for MSG4. Coming up to the 1 minute mark.
À tous de DDO, attention pour -1 minute. Top H0 -1 minute.
We are live at the Guyana Space Center for the launch of Star 1 C4, a telecommunications satellite for Embratel Star 1 and built by Space Systems Loral, and the weather satellite MSG4 for EUMETSAT, built by Thales Alenia Space. Our very best wishes to all the teams. Good luck, everyone.
À tous de DDO, attention pour le décompte final. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, unité. Top allumage moteur Vulcain. Allumage confirmé. Top allumage AP décollage. paramètres à bord sont nominaux.
And there she goes, blazing her trail across the equatorial skies, tucked behind a cloud there because it was very beautiful skies earlier today, and then the clouds came in. And after the initial 12 seconds of vertical climb, we rotated to the east, and now we're heading out over the Atlantic Ocean. We are burning 3 engines. You can see the blue flame is from the Vulcan engine,
Passage
which
du
we...
lanceur en vol supersonique, les paramètres à bord sont normaux.
Yeah, we're going supersonic. We've 48 seconds into the flight. We went through Mach 1, and that means that we're now travelling faster than the speed of sound. We're actually getting the rumble of the vehicle as she flies over here at the Jupiter Mission Control Center, about 18 kilometers from that pad. So, yeah, I was saying we're burning 3 engines, but it's those 2 boosters on the those great big tanks there on the side of the vehicle which are doing all the work, and their job is to get us away from the gravity of the Earth, gravity which makes life possible for us here on Earth, but it also makes it very difficult for us to get away. And we need a lot of firepower to do that. On the bottom of the screen, you can see our altitude. There is... He's telling us that everything's going according to plan. We can see there the altitude is 51 kilometers kilometers above the Earth. In the middle, our distance from the pad, 71 kilometers, as if we were to draw a line across the Earth. And our speed, 2 kilometers per second. And we are getting the scheduled losing of the boosters.
Des EAP, les ensembles d'accélérateurs à poudre.
And he's confirmed it. Separation of the boosters is confirmed. They have burnt their propellant and we don't need them anymore. We are shedding weight. The lighter we are, the faster we go. So we're now burning the main stage. That great big tank there, the grey tank of cryogenic propellant. That's burning for about 9 minutes. Take a look at the top of the vehicle there. You could see it. That was the fairing there on the right-hand side. That's the pointed nose of our launcher. It's protecting the satellites from the rigours of the launch. The acoustic vibrations at liftoff, notably. I think you can imagine just how loud.
Les données reçues sont conformes à l'attendu. Le vol est nominal.
He's saying that everything is nominal. That means that everything is normal and everything is going according to plan. And the fairing is also protecting the satellites from friction because we're flying through the dense part of the atmosphere. And of course that warms the skin of the launcher. But right now we're coming to the edge of that dense part. Look at our altitude, 120 odd kilometers above the Earth.
Séparation de la coiffe.
And we've had separation of the fairing. We don't need it anymore. We're losing weight again. And look at how those parts flex there as they fall. It's called the breathing mode, and it's all part of the plan. It's an incredible thing to think that it takes us just over 3 minutes to climb outside Earth's atmosphere and get to the edge of space. That is all that protects us from the cosmos and from space. Makes you realise that we really do need to look after our atmosphere. If you were driving your car on a vertical highway into the sky, it would take you about 50 minutes. So, our satellites are now exposed to space for the first time. Everything's going normally. You can see there on the picture on the right, Star 1 is the satellite at the front. We can't see MSG 4 behind it because it's covered by the black structure which we call the cylinder. And you can see there, Star 1, the rectangular structures are the solar panels. So that's the tracking station there, Galileo, you can see. The first tracking station, that's at the Guyana Space Center. That's tracking our vehicle at the moment. Our altitude, 163 kilometers above the Earth. We are 528 kilometers from the pad along the ground, and we're flying at 3.29 kilometers per
Les paramètres
second.
de propulsion et de pilotage sont normaux, le vol est calme.
Everything's going according to plan and the flight is calm, says our range operations manager. And we launched 5 minutes and 50 seconds ago from the pad here in French Guiana. And here we are. You can see Star 1 C4 at the front there. Those two round structures are the reflectors. And in the middle, so to the left, if you like, of Star 1 C4 is that black structure, and that is called the cylinder.
Tous les paramètres à bord sont nominaux, la trajectoire est normale.
There we go, 6.5 minutes ago. So the cylinder, the black structure, allows us to launch 2 satellites at the same time on board Ariane 5. And to the left of that you can see, well, the disc. The grey disc is the upper stage. He's telling us that everything is calm and we have 2 minutes left of propulsion on the upper stage. So we're heading out across the Atlantic, and our flight path takes us along the equator across Africa, and we'll start separating the satellites over the east coast of Africa. It's going to take us about 20 minutes to get there before we separate the first satellite, Star 1 C4. Right now we're at an altitude of 189 kilometers. We're going to have to travel to 1,145 kilometers above the Earth to separate Star 1 C4. We're tracking the launcher using ground stations as she flies over. It's called telemetry.
Il reste moins d'1 minute de propulsion de l'étage principal.
And Ariane sends data to those ground stations, which tells us how the flight is progressing.
Acquisition de la télévision lanceur par la station de Nasal au Brésil.
How the flight is progressing in real time. And we have the acquisition of signal there confirmed at the Natal tracking station. That's on the northeast coast of Brazil. That's our second station to pick up the signal. We're looking at computer-generated images here. They're showing us what the experts have calculated is actually happening to the launcher and the satellites. Basically, the teams plan a very precise schedule of events, and they're all based on extremely accurate predictions. Everything's going according to plan, he says, and we have a couple of seconds left of propulsion. And now we can see there the upper stage has switched off its engine, and we now have switched on the engine of the upper stage. You can see it there, the blue flame on the left-hand side of the screen. These are images from a previous launch when we had cameras on board the launcher. So we're beginning the next phase of our journey. The upper stage has taken the wheel, and its job is to transport our satellites to their correct orbit so we can separate them. And the first one to be delivered will be Star 1 C4. Everybody at Arianespace is absolutely delighted to be orbiting another satellite for their friends at Embratel Star 1. They've been working together for many years, and Arianespace has launched all 10 of their satellites. These teams all know each other very, very well. And of course, the Olympics are going to be benefiting. So Embratel Star 1 is one of South America's biggest operators, providing important services.
Rodas. Encurtam distâncias. Aproximam pessoas. geram energia. Lâmpadas transformam a noite em dia, iluminam cidades, promovem encontros. Celulares conectam pessoas, propagam informação, trazem o universo para a palma da mão. Ideias nascem quando alguém se pergunta, e se? Ideias surgem quando alguém encara um desafio por um outro ângulo e decide explorar novas possibilidades. Imagine um mundo onde é possível acessar seus dados de qualquer lugar, onde sua informação é gerenciada de maneira segura e acessível, onde seus parceiros e clientes estão sempre ao alcance de um aperto de mãos, onde a tecnologia é usada para garantir desempenho e segurança para sua empresa. Agora, abra os olhos e entre na era da inovação. Com uma empresa capaz de reinventar a presença, redesenhar a nuvem, redefinir a mobilidade, reorganizar a informação e, mais do que nunca, multiplicar a criatividade. Porque lá, no início de tudo, nos algoritmos por trás dos programas e computadores, existe algo único, imaterial, frágil até, uma ideia. E uma ideia não é nada se não está acessível, se não é compartilhada. As ideias que mais circulam são as que revolucionam, reorganizam, renovam, transformam o impossível em realidade e colocam o mundo em movimento. Embratel Claro Empresas. Ideias que movem.
And during that film, we picked up the signal at the tracking station in Ascension Island, halfway across the Atlantic.
Les paramètres de propulsion et de pilotage sont normaux, le vol est calme.
We're halfway across the pond. And for our French-speaking viewers, I am being interpreted by our two interpreters, Christopher Jack and Diane Borelli. There's no question that Star 1C4 is a fantastic piece of technology. Space Systems Loral designed it and built it at their plant in Palo Alto. And the Loral and Ariane space teams are old friends. They've been working together for many years. Today's an important anniversary for them. It's the 50th Loral satellite that Arianespace has launched.
Acquisition de la deuxième lanceur par la station anglaise d'Ascension, à environ 2000 km à l'est des côtes de l'Amérique du Sud.
As a world leader in providing commercial communications satellites, SSL built the Star 1C4 satellite for Embratel Star 1 to meet growing demand for direct-to-home television in the Americas.
Star 1 is the lead satellite operator in Latin America. We are owned by Embratel, and Embratel is part of América Móvil Group. Star 1C4 will be the most important satellite for Star 1. With Star 1C4, we will concentrate all the DTH operations of América Móvil in Latin America.
The satellite uses the flight-proven SSL 1300 platform and benefits from SSL's strong heritage and focus on quality. It has 48 active KU band transponders.
We are very proud of this project because in addition of covering Brazil, the Star 1C4 satellite will cover continental US, Mexico, Central America, and South America. This is an important project because it will well position our company as a regional satellite operator.
First of all, I'd like to thank Embratel Star 1 for the confidence placed in SSL for the build of Star 1 C4 satellite.
Star 1C4 is the first satellite that SSL has built for Embratel Star 1. And in 2013, SSL was awarded a second contract to build the Star 1 D1 satellite. That spacecraft is currently in production at SSL's facility in Palo Alto, California. Star 1C4 is also important to SSL because it is the 50th Arianespace launch of an SSL-built satellite. This represents a long and successful history between the companies spanning over 3 decades.
The two teams, SSL and the Arianespace team, have been always working very well together, focus on quality and performance at all time. So I'd like to extend my gratitude to the Arianespace executive team and extend it to the whole team here in Kourou for this number 50 mission.
It is with deep appreciation that SSL extends its thanks to Embratel Star 1, to Arianespace, and to the many SSL employees who worked to make this satellite a success.
And our other passenger is the 11th satellite in the Meteosat family, and the last one in the second generation, number 4. Arianespace has launched all of the Meteosats except the first one, which lifted off in 1977, and that was before Arianespace existed. The first and second generations of Meteosats supply essential data to European weather forecasters, and the third generation is under construction. And MSG-4 is important because not only does it supply meteorologists with immediate information about the weather now, it also helps them to identify hazardous weather phenomena. The Meteosat program is thanks to successful collaboration between the European Space Agency and EUMETSAT, which operates a fleet of satellites.
MSG-4 is the last of the second generation Meteosat satellites, the last in a series, and it is a satellite which will bring the gap with the next generation, Meteosat third generation. We launch it now because we have two aging satellites in orbit, which have by far exceeded their design lifetime, and we will store this satellite in orbit for it to be ready when we need it. And it has also a big advantage. It saves money because we do not have to store and de-store on ground. The satellite is ready. And it saves also risks, because when you have an old satellite and you need to retest it, there are always risks. So first of all, today we were the customer of this launch service. We were the customer of Arianespace. But of course, our role is much broader than that. We have prepared the ground segment, prepared the teams to take over the satellite, to commission it, and we are ready now to take over the satellite from ISOC. It requires a lot of preparation, and then our scientific and technical teams are ready to assess the products of the satellite together with the user community to make sure it's ready for use. So the geostationary satellites like Meteosat second generation are vital for monitoring the fast evolution of high-impact weather.
Without any valuable information being on the west side of a continent, we are totally blind if there's no information over the ocean, of the weather was coming towards us. It's helping us with convective clouds, how did they develop, and also with fog situations, if the fog dissolving or not.
We have two MSG satellites in orbit, operated in different modes, but simultaneously. One is scanning only Europe, but every 5 minutes. Another one is scanning the full disk, so Europe, Africa, etc., but every 15 minutes. So it gives Europe the best possible information to detect what is happening and to release the warnings on high-impact weather. It provides also important information for forecasts for longer range, up to 10 days. MSG tracks clouds, the movement of clouds, and retrieves estimate of wind vectors.
We have developed certain algorithms for atmospheric motion vectors. We also track fire pixels in MSG data, and also fog and low clouds are being detected by an algorithm developed by our service.
These satellites save lives, so that's why it's so important that we have continuity of the service with MSG-4.
The problem with our work methodology is always that we are here to avoid damage. And the avoidance, how much damage can you avoid if you have a good forecast? That's not possible because you can't have a second run of experiment in which you allow the damage to appear. And then you don't have any estimate of the beneficial impact of your good forecast.
MSG is also very useful for climate. It's very simple to explain. We have already 35 years of climate data records, of Meteosat imagery across the 2 generations of satellite. And climatologists tell you we need 30 years. Climate is the statistics of whatever can happen over 30 years. We have 30 years. So this is why Meteosat is so important for climate monitoring.
And during that film we had the signal there at the tracking station in Libreville, which is in Gabon on the west coast of Africa. So the teams there picked up the launcher as it flies over. MSG-4 is a truly European project built by... Everything's going according to plan, he says. Built by a consortium of some 60 industries led by our friends at Thales Alenia Space, who are also familiar faces here at the Guyana Space Centre. Indeed, today is the 142nd satellite that Arianespace has launched for them. They have equipped the Meteosat spacecraft with advanced technology, and the teams there are extremely skilled in building meteorological satellites.
At Thales Alenia Space, we are very proud knowing that we have designed and built all the Meteosat spacecraft which supply European weather forecasts. Since the 70s, we have been the trusted prime contractor for Meteosat first and second generations and the upcoming third generation. We have spent nearly 40 years perfecting that knowledge, and it has put us at the forefront of European meteorology and observation. Through Meteosat, Europe supplies the best meteorological satellites in the world thanks to ESA and EUMETSAT, and plays a major role in World Weather Watch. The expertise of Thales Alenia Space is vital in this effort, not just for building Meteosat, but our wide range of other instruments and satellites too. Meteorology satellites are essential for improving our knowledge about Earth's changing climate, as are Sentinel-3A and Jason-3, which we are building for launch later this year. All these spacecraft will give scientists vital data for modeling and understanding climate change. So, today's launch of MSG-4 is close to our hearts. Our warmest congratulations to EUMETSAT, the European Space Agency, our industrial partners, and all the teams who have worked so hard on this mission.
Les paramètres à bord sont toujours conformes à l'attendu. Il reste moins d'1 minute de propulsion de l'ESC.
And we have picked up the signal at the tracking station in Malindi, that's in Kenya on the east coast of Africa. And this is the tracking station which will be monitoring our separations. So our speed, take a look at the bottom right-hand side of the screen. We are travelling at 9.5 kilometres per second. Let me just allow you to take in the huge velocity that we're travelling at, 9.5 kilometres per second.
Tous les paramètres à bord sont normaux. Il reste quelques secondes de propulsion ESC.
We're coming up now to the upper stage cut-off. You can see on the top right-hand side of the screen there, you could see that we're really climbing into space now.
Extinction de l'ESC, à nouveau sur commande de guidage.
And the upper stage has switched off its engine. So we are entering the next phase now. This is called the ballistic phase, and ballistic means without propulsion. Basically, it means that we are travelling high enough and fast enough to cruise without our engine. You could say that we're on celestial autopilot right now. But we're still climbing, and if you look at the bottom left, you can see our altitude is coming up to 700 kilometers above the Earth. We need to get to 1,145 kilometers of altitude in order to separate Star 1C4. Going to take us about 3 minutes to get there.
Le lanceur est maintenant en vol balistique et il se déroule nominalement. Il effectuera des manœuvres d'orientation au profit des éléments à séparer.
And he's telling us that the launcher is in the ballistic phase. Everything's going normally, and it's performing the orientation maneuvers which have been planned. The orientation maneuvers are due to the fact that once we release the satellites, they have to travel to their final orbit all by themselves, and that is 36,000 kilometers above the Earth, and we have to put them into the correct attitude for their journey.
Tous les paramètres à bord sont toujours conformes à l'attendu.
And to do that, we have to orientate the upper stage so that it can release the satellites basically in the right position. It's a very precise set of maneuvers. You can see there that the upper stage is twisting and turning. We often call this the space ballet. And you can see, just to reiterate, on the top there, the grey discs are the upper stage with their engine now, its engine now switched off. The black structure is the cylinder, the part which enables the double launches. MSG4 is underneath it. And to the right, we can see Star 1C4 with its round reflectors and its rectangular solar panels. Every satellite has to be positioned into a different orbit, and so the upper stage, which is very clever, has to be able to twist and turn in any direction that we want. And to do that, it has 6 small thrusters. They give short bursts
Fin de
of
visibilité
cold
attendue du
gas.
lanceur par la station de Libreville au Gabon.
He's just saying that we've lost the signal there at Libreville in
Début de la mise en
Gabon.
rotation au profit de Star 1C4.
And we are in the rotation phase. We're getting close to the injection orbit. That's where we separate the first satellite, Star 1C4. Look at the altitude. We're at 1,103 kilometers. We need to get to 1,145. We're very close. Our speed there, just under 9 kilometers per
Séparation
second.
du satellite Star 1C4.
And we have separation of Star 1C4. Congratulations to everybody at Embratel Star 1 and everybody at Space Systems Loral and all the teams. The Olympic Games are in good hands. So Star 1C4 is now heading out on its journey to its orbital slot, which is 70 degrees west. That's up there in geostationary orbit.
Tous les paramètres à bord sont normaux. Les manœuvres d'orientation au profit de la séparation du SILDA, le système de lancement double Ariane, ont démarré.
And he's telling us that everything's going normally, and the next phase, which is to separate the SILDA, is starting. The launch vehicle is
La phase
maneuvering
d'orientation
itself
au profit de la séparation du SILDA se poursuit nominalement.
and rotating itself in order to start the process of separating the SILDA. So we still have MSG attached, and it's underneath our SILDA, the black structure there. We still have to climb to 4,000 kilometers, or just under actually, before we can release MSG4. It's going to take us about 11 minutes to get there, and before we do that, we have to go through several different maneuvers. This is one of them, getting ready to release the SILDA. SILDA is actually means Système de Lancement Double Ariane, or Ariane Double Launch System. It's a little bit like a fairing. You can see it there. It's that black.
Tous les paramètres à bord sont toujours conformes à l'attendu.
rounded structure to the end there on the left-hand side of the white disk, and MSG4 is underneath it. It has several jobs. It protects the satellite in the lower position, and it also provides the attachment mechanism, and it's thanks to it that we are able to launch 2 satellites at a time. So Star 1C4 is heading out now on its journey. It has to go through a series of operations to switch on parts of the satellite and check its health. It's going to deploy its solar panels in about 3 hours time, and then in 2 days it will have the first
Séparation du SILDA, le système de lancement double Ariane.
Of 5 bands. And we have confirmation there that the SILDA is separating, and we can see it, MSG4, for the first time, the cylindrical
Début de la
shape.
manœuvre d'orientation au profit de MSG4, la charge utile basse.
And there it is, revealed for the first time. The first one was launched in 1977, and here we are, 38 years later, transporting the 11th one into space. We've launched 10 of them, so it's an important day for everybody. Everybody in Europe, everybody on Earth. There are 7 in the first generation. 4 Meteosats in the second generation. This is the 4th one. And Thales Alenia Space is already building the 3rd generation, which is going to consist of 3 pairs. And it's the folk at the Malindi tracking station who are tracking this for us right now, and I have absolutely no doubt that the teams are all concentrating very hard there at this point, monitoring all these maneuvers very carefully.
La phase d'orientation se déroule nominalement.
It's an important time for all the teams who are tracking the vehicle in all the different stations, and here as well at the station at the Guyana Space Center. This is called the CVI, or Real-Time Visual Control. The other tracking stations send the data to these teams here at the Guyana Space Center, at the CVI, and they receive more than 100 pieces of information at any one time. They make a quick selection to check how the flight is progressing in real time. That information then gets sent to the Range Operations Manager so that he can call out the confirmations. And then, of course, they analyse the information later on to see how the flight progressed, and then, of course, make any changes for the next flight. Bit of history for you. Back in 1946, a group of scientists and soldiers in New Mexico saw something that nobody had ever seen before. The first images of Earth from space. They put cameras on board a V2 missile, and they launched it from the pad there in New Mexico, and from 65 miles above the Earth, they managed to see our planet from beyond our atmosphere. Very grainy black and white images they were. But observation on our planet really started with meteorology, and that was in 1960 when the first weather satellite was launched. It was called Tyros. And we got the first television picture of our Earth from space. That was grainy and black and white too. But can you imagine what it must have been like for people to see for the first time really properly the curvature of our planet? It had the image itself was not quite half the planet, but nearly. And although to us now it seems very simple and basic, it must have been incredible. For the first time, people really saw our planet as round. Tyros actually lasted only for 78 days, but it was important because it proved that satellites could be an incredibly useful tool for surveying global weather conditions from space and really telling us more about our planet. And that's where Earth observation really started. Of course, nowadays, we're all very, very used to seeing satellite images all the time, and in particular weather satellite images.
Tous les paramètres à bord sont toujours nominaux.
Everything's going normally. Of course, predicting the weather is far more important than simply deciding whether to take the family on the picnic. These kind of advanced satellites provide really important information for other applications as well. Things like hydrology, agriculture, environmental studies, and of course the meteosats are very useful for giving us information for risk prevention and disaster warnings. Just a reminder that these images we're looking at, these computer-generated images, are all exactly showing us exactly what's happening in space. So this information has been put into the computer by the experts and they've generated the images. So we're really watching what's happening. What you see is what you get. So the meteosats are very important for short-term forecasting, and it's often called
La phase d'orientation se poursuit nominalement.
It's often called nowcasting. They're giving us information about what's happening to the weather around our planet now. It's very important. It's kind of like watching a movie. You can see the clouds progressing, you can see the pressure, you can see the depressions. In fact, it's all those pictures that you see on the television. Every time you watch the weather forecast in Europe on the news, for example, you're looking at pictures from the meteosats. They're hugely important for meteorologists. I mean, the truth is they probably couldn't really function without them, because it would be a little bit like closing the blinds and not being able to see outside. It's their window on the weather. So there are a couple of types of weather satellites. There are the short-term forecasting satellites like the Meteosat series. And then we have another type of satellite called METOP. And these guys are lower orbiting polar satellites. And the experts use those to make longer term forecasts. They actually probe the atmosphere and they make profiles, although you could say they're a little bit like the scientific barometer and thermometer in space. It's really important to understand the short-term forecasting, because it's quite a challenge. It may not seem it.
La phase d'orientation au profit des MSG4 se poursuit nominalement.
Everything's going normally. It's quite a challenge for meteorologists to really understand if a storm develops, for example, what's going to happen next. So,
Fin de la manœuvre d'orientation.
And we're at the end of the orientation maneuvers.
Début de mise en rotation au profit des MSG4.
Of the rotating phase for MSG4. MSG4 is what we call a spinner. It means that it stabilizes itself simply by rotating on one axis. That's a little bit like a spinning top. And right now, we're spinning it up. We're getting ready to release it. The upper stage is going to start rotating it faster and faster until it gets to a spin rate of 30 degrees per second in order to separate correctly. Look, you can see it there, it's just starting to rotate. It's actually going to start spinning more and more. Once it's separated, it'll spin up to 55 revolutions per minute, and then tomorrow it'll fire its engine.
La vitesse de mise en rotation requise est atteinte.
It'll fire its engine for the first of 4 burns. So we've now reached the correct rotation speed. In 7 days' time, it's going to get to a rotation speed of 100 rotations per minute. And the reason is that it stabilizes it. And it gives us a much better image of the planet.
Et séparation MSG4.
And we have separation. Separation of MSG4. The last of the second generation satellite series is on its way to its orbital slot, 70 degrees west. Congratulations to everybody. It's a big day and the culmination of many months' work for some many years. Lots of happy faces there. A great feeling of a job well done. I think everyone can feel very proud of themselves. Everybody knows that they played a key part and they will be absolutely delighted with today's success. It's been an excellent campaign. People do work incredibly hard during these times. It's very intense, so everyone's going to want to relax now, and for some it's going to be a quick turnaround, of course, for the next campaign. Our two satellites are heading out on their own now, and the teams on the ground are taking over the job of flying their new babies. And there we were, spinning MSG4 up like a spinning top and sending it out into space. And the separation mechanism with a set of springs, sending it off just like a jack-in-a-box, a spinning jack-in-a-box. So the Ariane space teams have done a good job there of launching the satellites, and now the ground teams are taking on the job of flying them. But of course the job isn't done yet for Ariane Space, because the upper stage's job is not over. We have to distance it. It's called passivation. We have to de-spin it first of all and put it into a safe direction away from the spacecraft. And then we actually have to give it a bit more spin after that in order to stabilize it. And then we let the gas out of the tanks, we discharge the batteries, and eventually it burns up in the atmosphere. Mission accomplished. So we're waiting for the official speeches here. Going to be hearing from the various people involved in today's superb launch, a textbook launch. Our two satellites on their way now to their orbits. And one of them getting ready to beam the Olympics to us in 2016. So everybody, I'm sure, in Rio, very happy to know that their satellite is now en route. Congratulations to everybody at Embratel Star 1 and EUMETSAT. We lifted off from the pad 44.5 minutes ago, and we broke the speed of sound at 48 seconds after launch. Lost our boosters 2.5 minutes into the flight. Important photographs there for everybody to hang on their walls when they get home.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, I am delighted to announce that according to our onboard telemetry systems, Star 1 C4 and MSG4 were separated as planned on the targeted optimized geostationary transfer orbit. Our 80th Ariane 5 has just completed its 66th success in a row. Numbers are good and easy to remember tonight. 10th satellite launch for Embratel, 10th Meteosat satellite launch for EUMETSAT, 50th mission with SSL, et là on va parler d'un vieux couple. I do not dare mentioning.
And we are going to talk about an old couple.
Second satellite with Thales Alenia Space. This is just great. In upper position, Star 1 C4 will provide a wide range of telecommunication services above the American continent. This satellite is a must in view of Rio 2016 Olympics. Let me take this opportunity to deeply thank Mr. Gustavo Silbert and Mr. Lincoln Oliveira with us tonight, representing Embratel as President and General Director, for being so faithful to Arianespace. Indeed, all Embratel Star 1 satellites have been launched by Arianespace so far. Since the very first one, it was with Brasilsat A1, successfully orbited from the Guyana Space Center 30 years ago. Going through the A, B, and C satellite series, our companies have definitely developed strong ties over the years, which will now perpetuate with the D generation, since Star 1 D1 also belongs to our order book for launch next year. Congratulations to SSL as well. Star 1 C4 is the 50th geostationary spacecraft built upon an SSL bus to be launched by Arianespace. We have 14 more SSL satellites currently in our backlog to continue on the same successful path. So thanks to Paul Este for being with us tonight to celebrate this great partnership. MSG4, the second passenger on this flight, is the last of a series of 4 second-generation geostationary satellites used by EUMETSAT for climate monitoring with a main focus on high-impact weather detection and forecast. Less than a month after Sentinel-2A launch by Vega in the frame of Copernicus, this is another European contribution to sustainable development in a key year to be concluded in Paris with the famous COP21. I want to express my gratitude to EUMETSAT for entrusting against Arianespace with this launch, and particularly to Alain Ratier, its president, who attended the launch from EUMETSAT's headquarters in Darmstadt with many invitees, and to Clémence Kayser, his representative here in Kourou with us tonight. Last but not least, congratulations to Thales Alenia Space, MSG manufacturer. As I have said, it is the 142nd satellite we orbit for Thales Alenia Space, and I must say that the first satellite we have orbited for Thales Alenia Space was already for EUMETSAT. It was in June 1981. Tonight, we are halfway in our 2015 roadmap. We have performed 6 launches already, in line with our busy manifest, targeting up to 12 launches in 2015. Arianespace is demonstrating, launch after launch, its capability to increase its operational pace while remaining the most reliable solution for all its customers. Tomorrow, we will inaugurate a new propellant loading facility dedicated to Soyuz upper stage. This new facility will add again to our flexibility and launch capacity, which we are pleased to offer to all our customers. As a conclusion, I want to thank all our partners. First, our industrial partners led by Airbus Safran Launchers for delivering this 80th Ariane 5 without deviating from the highest quality standards which have made its fame worldwide. Thanks to ESA member states for their unwavering support to the Ariane program, and I want to tell a warm welcome to Jan Werner, this launch being the first one under Jan's leadership as ESA DG. Thanks to our partners, the CNES CLG, for the outstanding availability of the spaceport and for our outstanding partnership. Thanks to our ground industrialists here in French Guiana, who have already started to prepare our next launch. And for sure, I want to thank all Arianespace teams for their full dedication to our launches and to our customers. This campaign has not been a parted campaign. It was a difficult campaign, but as always, Arianespace team have demonstrated launch after launch, year after year, that they make the difference with a new success. So I now leave the floor to our customers and partners. Thank you very much for your attention.
Merci Stéphane. Bonsoir, Madame, Messieurs.
Good evening to all.
Good evening. I'm very proud to be here announcing this strategic moment for Embratel Star One and for our shareholder, América Móvil, one of the largest worldwide telecommunication group. Star One C4 is the 10th satellite built by the Embratel Group since 1985, when the Brazilian satellite communication system was started with the launching of Brasilsat A1. Now it became part of our fleet of 7 satellites, with coverage to South, Central, and North America, increasing our presence in the region. Star One C4, it will be placed at the 8-4 West orbital slot, being co-located with Star One C2. Both satellites will attend now more than 4 million Claro HD TV subscribers covered today by C2. Our main goal is give to these customers the opportunity to experiment more content diversity and quality with the C4 additional capacity. As satellite operator leader in Latin America, I would take this opportunity to say that we Brazilians are very excited with the Olympics that will take place in Rio de Janeiro next year. Embratel and Claro will be the official telecommunication provider for the Olympics, and we are creating the best infrastructure for the city and the games. It's important to note that by 2016, we plan to launch one more satellite that's already in construction. Together with the Star One C4, it will bring new capacity to support this very important world-class event in Brazil. This satellite is a result of a teamwork. First, I would like to congratulate the Embratel Star One professionals. You made an amazing job as usual. Lincoln, Antonio, and Marcelo, our mission director that's here with us, please receive my congratulations and my regards, my warm regards. Also, this is the 10th satellite that we have successfully launched with Arianespace, and the first built with Space System Loral. Stefan and Paul, that's representing Shelley here, thank you very much. You did a great job. To all our customers, especially those who are following us today, we are sure this new Star One C4 satellite will increase your satisfaction as consumers. Make sure we will continue to enhance our structure, always offering the best quality, technology, and service level. Thank you so much. Gracias. Muito obrigado. Merci beaucoup.
Bonsoir, Mesdames et Messieurs. De la part de Jean Shelley, président de SSL, je tiens à remercier Stéphane Israël et l'équipe entière d'Arianespace pour un nouveau lancement réussi.
The whole team of Arianespace for a new successful launch of SSL satellite. This is the 50th launch of SSL satellite on an Ariane rocket. So for us, it is a key defining moment. And the whole story started some years ago with Intelsat 503 in 1983, actually.
Wow,
yeah, 43 would have been a bit early days, I must say.
At the moment, I don't think we will catch up to our colleagues from Thales Alenia with 142. However, together we have another 8 launches planned over the next year and a half, including Star 1 D1, which SSL is currently building. Nous tenons aussi à féliciter l'équipe.
I would like to thank the team of Thales Alenia Space for the successful launch of MSG4 on behalf of EUMETSAT. New success in a long series of successful Meteosat launches.
Particularly proud of our successful delivery of the Star 1 C4 satellite to Embratel Star 1, our first satellite to the Embratel family. The development and launch of the satellite has taken thousands of hours of dedicated work by Embratel Star 1, SSL, and Arianespace personnel. And we must recognize each and every employee of these companies and our dedicated suppliers in this success. Many thanks to Embratel Star 1 for giving us this opportunity. SSL's vision is to create space-based solutions that improve the human experience. And it is with great satisfaction that we bring that vision to fruition with the delivery of Star 1 C4 through the combined efforts of Embratel Star 1, Arianespace, and SSL. Merci beaucoup.
Ladies and gentlemen, EUMETSAT is absolutely happy to have this successful launch, but before I speak to you, I hand over to my Director General, who has a video message and an important news for you.
So tonight, Arianespace launched the last Meteosat second-generation satellites, and I would like to thank and congratulate Arianespace, ESA, and CNES. This is the 10th Meteosat satellite launched by Ariane, and this satellite is very important for EUMETSAT, as it will secure the transition to Meteosat third generation. So it's the most appropriate time for me to announce that we have just signed a new contract with Arianespace to launch the first 3 Meteosat third generation satellites from 2019 to 2023. This reflects the trust of our 30 member states in Arianespace to build the future of satellite meteorology for the benefits of European citizens.
So, ladies and gentlemen, it's always an emotional moment seeing a satellite flying up to the sky and recalling the years of engineering, really going back to the 90s in that case. It took to come to that point. This last MSG satellite will not only conclude the success story of the second generation Meteosat satellite, but also secure the transition to the third generation. And I must say that I myself and the complete team here is absolutely proud to be part of this success story here. I would like to express my thanks and congratulations to all who has part of this launch success. First, my congratulations to Arianespace to the very excellent service and during the launch campaign and finally the launch itself. I would also like to thank ESA and CNES for the services here on the launch site and operating the Kourou spaceport. My thanks goes to all at EUMETSAT, ESA, Thales Alenia Space Project Team, here in Kourou and in Darmstadt, Nordwijk and in Cannes, who worked so hard to prepare our satellite for this launch. Please allow me to mention also one person here who has been intrinsically tied up with this success of the complete MSG program since 17 years. So Sergio Rota, our program manager of MSG, it was his last launch campaign now, and before he will deserve now a wonderful retirement, hopefully. So dear Sergio, many thanks and all the best for you for the upcoming new period of your life. A lot of more work starts now involving the LEOP team at ESOC, and then later in EUMETSAT we'll take over the satellites in 10 days from now for the final commissioning of the satellite. My best wishes that this work is an essential one and make MSG4 a full success story. Altogether, we contribute to nowcasting and to secure the provision of vital observation from geostationary orbit, data that will continue to ensure the safety of life and the property in Europe in severe weather conditions. Congratulations also to our friends here in Star 1 in Bratel. I wish you also a very successful mission with your satellite. And last but not least, with the contract signature of MTG, we have again the complete team as we have here together with ESA, Thales, and now Arianespace. So I'm looking forward in some years from now to launch the next Meteosat satellite. Thank you all for this successful event. And on behalf of EUMETSAT, the members, the member states, and our cooperating states, and the worldwide user community of these Meteosat services. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, RVMI, Thales Arianespace, dear customers, on behalf of Jean-Loïc Gall, our CEO, I would like, and the entire company, I would like to congratulate and thank EUMETSAT, ESA, CNES, Arianespace for their confidence and for this fantastic launch. Everything operated perfectly. As planned, ESOC have taken over the satellite. I can confirm that all along the launch and until now, the satellite has been in good health. This success is due to the enormous know-how of the overall space community, and I would like to thank also all the Thales teams, Thales Arianespace teams here in Kourou, in Darmstadt, in Cannes, for their thorough involvement and dedication. Meteosat is a remarkable program which has now been operational for 37 years. When MSG4 is operational, it will be declared as Meteosat 11, and we, TAS, we are very proud to have delivered also the first 10 ones. MSG4 is a major asset in climate change monitoring with permanent observation of Earth through imagery and atmosphere measurements. 2015 will be a major year for climate change through the COP21 conference to be held in Paris in November, December. TAS, together with CNES, EUMETSAT, ESA, European Commission, will contribute to this conference and to its success with the launch of MSG4 and also with JSON-3 for altimetry and Sentinel-3A for oceanography. It is Thales' core objective to keep on providing Europe and our customers with best solutions for meteo, environment monitoring, oceanography. We know that now this extends to carbon and greenhouse gas monitoring, which is the next challenge for Europe. Our deep commitment and perspective is now with Meteosat third generation. We thank again EUMETSAT and ESA for their confidence in TAS for this program. The Imager satellite will provide continuity of service with increased performance. The Sounder satellite will be world's first ever geostationary sounder. Overall, MTG will set the standard for meteorology, and we embark for that a full consortium of European industries. Again, congratulations to EUMETSAT, ESA, CNES, Arianespace. We are very proud to be here. Congratulations to our industrial partners and all the teams who have worked very hard for this success. And congratulations to Star 1 and SSL for this great success also. Thank you very much.
And now we are going to hear from the Director of Earth Observation Program at the European Space Agency, Volker Liebig.
I'm very happy that we have arrived at this point after the successful launch of MSG. This is the last of the series of the MSG satellites we have developed for EUMETSAT and launched then together. I think this is a moment where we should also say thank you to those who have made this possible. I would like to start with the team who has developed or has destored and prepared the satellite for the launch. Stefan Carlier as project manager, but also our teams in ESOC, whose work has now started because they will do the layup in the next days, and industry. So thank you also for your support. I think we have learned all a lot because this was a satellite which we stored longer than any other satellite, and these are lessons we can also use in the future. And at the end, I should also say thank you to EUMETSAT. I think this launch again was a good example how well this cooperation works since many decades. And I think now we can all celebrate together a successful launch of MSG4.
Mesdames, Messieurs, eh bien voilà. Donc,
ladies and gentlemen, this is the sixth launch from our Space Center. It's the 66th success in a row. So, of course, we need to congratulate all the operators and engineers who are operating this launcher and all the industries, the designers of the launcher too. Once again, they showed this was a great success, and congratulations to all the teams from our spatial base, of all the industrials, for those from Arianespace who dedicate themselves full-time to this project, and all our congratulations to them. We would like to remind you that all those teams who are working here are sometimes going to leave us because now it's summer, and some of them were here for the last launch. So I would like to thank our customers, our Arianespace customers, Embratel Star One or Obrigado, for coming here and work with us in our facilities. Thank you to EUMETSAT, to the European Space Agency. Thank you for Space Systems Loral and Thales Alenia Space. We offered the best we could in our facilities to them, and I believe this base is there for them at their disposal. And now we did a good job. The satellites are in orbit, and I'm sure that the analysis of all the data will show that these satellites are at the right place at the right time, and I believe the work was excellent. So now, this launch is a real symbol of cooperation, first with Brazil, and I remind you also CNES has had a long-term cooperation with Brazil for telecommunication satellites. We have an agreement for future satellites already. And I also would like to insist on the fact that here at the base we are working very often with Brazilians. We have a station in Natal, and we are working in close cooperation with Brazil. So I would like to thank all those teams who are supporting us for these launches. And I would like also to thank EUMETSAT because, of course, this weather forecast cooperation goes back for many years, and the satellite MSG4 was developed by Thales Alenia Space, and we are preparing for the future because we have now the third generation weather satellites. that are being designed and developed. You know that this year is under the symbol of climate, because in France we will have a major conference on climate, and in December there's going to be also another important event. So I would like to thank all the elected members of Guyana, because this space center, with all its challenges, can only function thanks to their support. And that support is a permanent support. It is a proven support. So I would like to thank them warmly for their support and for their loyalty. I would like also to thank the state services. Thank you to Mr. Prefect of Guyana. I would like to say today that the armed forces and the police have been very efficient, thanks to them, and thanks to General Philippe Adin, the commander of the armed forces in Guyana, and Colonel Walter, who was in France for the 14th of July. I would like to thank him because it was their last mission here at the Space Center. It was the last time that they were commanding their troops. And those troops are here for guaranteeing security during the whole launch, and this is very important. So thanks to them. We are in July, everybody's going off on holidays, and we are going to keep working here at the Space Center. We are preparing for our next launch, which will take place very soon. So thanks to all of you, and see you soon.
Bien, mesdames et messieurs, donc nous allons.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we will now close this in the voice of Al that they would entrust Arianespace with the launch of 3 satellites, firm and an option for the 3rd generation Meteosat satellites launches to be made with Ariane 5 ECR between 1919 and 23 through a soft transition with Ariane 6. So great thanks to EUMETSAT for their trust, and also to Embratel Star One for the quality of our partnership. We get ready for Star 1D already, and also it will be a busy summer, as from the 20th of August we will be back here with Ariane 5 at the CSG for a launch for 2 major leaders, Eutelsat with E8WB and Intelsat 34, 2 major operators. So thank you to all of you, and for those of you who are going on holiday, have a nice summer holiday. Thank you.
So it's mission accomplished once again for Arianespace, and the 6th launch this year from the Guyana Space Center. Congratulations to Arianespace's customers, Embratel Star One, and to EUMETSAT, and of course to the manufacturing teams led by Space Systems Loral and Thales Alenia Space. 2 satellites are now heading out on their journey to their final orbit. The best of luck to all the teams with the next phase of your operations. Thanks for joining us here live at the Guyana Space Center, and from me, Katie Haswell, goodbye.